The draft is almost here. Who's ready to read the tea leaves with me? 4 general managers joined us this afternoon. We're going to talk with and about all 4. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, a very pleasant Thursday afternoon to you. I'm Howard Megdal, host of Locked On Women's Basketball and founder and editor of The Next. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. You guys have been showing up in numbers almost incredible for me. I'll just be honest with you. I knew we would get here. I didn't know we would get here this fast. That more than 4.3 million of you read articles at The Next during March, where we had over 150 reported pieces, blows me away. So many of you listening here at Locked On Women's Basketball, where we're doing incredible work. And frankly, when I say that, I'm not thinking of myself. I'm thinking of my incredible group here and at The Next. I want you to subscribe. I want you to take a minute. $9 a month, $72 a year at thenexthoops.com. This money funds our newsroom. All the work we are doing, go ahead and join us. Helps us get where we need to go, give you the reporting I know that we all want for this space. And so today, about 8 of us joined the group of media on the Zoom, talking to 4 general managers, 4 of the 13 who we'll be picking this year, because that's right, there is a draft for the Golden State Valkyries as well. Just 12 in the first round. We've covered why the Aces don't have that pick on other shows. We're not going to get into that so much today, but they'll be there for the later rounds. And a lot to figure out. So segment 1, we're going to talk a little bit about how do the Dallas Wings value picks, not just their picks, but picks in general. I think it's important that we understand that, you know, they don't come on the air or come onto these Zooms and say, oh, you know what, here's who we're going to pick. There was a funny moment near the end where they all talked about, you know, gee, if you tell me your pick, I'll tell you mine. That's not how it works, but there's a lot to learn from these conversations along the way. And really, so let's start with number 1. Let's start with the Dallas Wings. And there's a couple of things that are worth considering at this point. It's April 10th. The draft is on April 14th. We don't know whether the Wings can rely on Paige Bueckers coming to Dallas if they choose her. And there's a lot of anger and swirling around this. You know, I think it's important that we focus on a few things, right? Number 1, Dallas has had to do this into the wind, not only of what has been some struggles the organization has had for a few years that predate Curt Miller arriving as general manager, but are not exclusively about on court and are often infrastructure based too, right? So there's that. There's a lot more. And the easiest way to think about the a lot more is basically every player other than Paige Bueckers, who has been given the option, do you want to go into the 2025 draft, or do you want to return to school, has chosen to return to school. People are not going into this draft, and for very specific reasons, not least of which, there's a new CBA likely coming. The idea, and look, you might see within the confines of a new CBA a smoothing out of the bump in rookie scale salaries. Certainly people around the league have suggested that's a possibility, but nobody knows. So you are signing a contract for what's effectively $78,000 and change at the most here in 2025. that gives teams the ability to hold on to you for 4 years if they choose by exercising an option in year 4. By waiting, you're going to face a lot more competition in the 26th draft. No question about it. We now know that definitively. But it gives you a chance to make significantly more money if the CBA goes in the direction that most people believe it will. And I say that to say, if Paige does choose to go to Dallas, and to go to Dallas this year, there's been a lot of focus on what happens if it doesn't happen. And that's obviously significant and has impact throughout the league. But if she does, that's such a huge win for the Dallas Wings. And I don't want that to get lost in it either. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next few days. That is for sure. Washington Mystics should have something to say about that too. If Paige ultimately decides she doesn't want to go to Dallas, Mystics are at 3-4-6. So I want to share with you a little bit of Curt Miller talking about why this idea that, you can make more in college than the pros is kind of nonsense. It's silly. It's really mostly an artifact of when and how the CBA is changing. So that's number one. Jamila, Wideman, also really interesting talking about what value these picks have. Because the thing I asked her was, look, you have an opportunity to not just select 3 players if you stay at 3, 4, and 6, but 3 players who will be on the old CBA rookie scale deal. And that should be immensely valuable, almost no matter what the CBA's new salary cap takes us to. So listen to them both. We'll be back. Talk about it on the other side. I'm Howard Megdal, and you're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think it's all probably individualized decisions. We don't get privy to the whys on why those players returned, if they're chasing more of a collegiate experience or a championship or a different role, or if there's other factors. So I don't think there's probably for any of those players deciding to return necessarily one way and one decision that they are making. But it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. For us, longtime people in the WNBA or that have worn the GM hat, we're ready for the COVID year to be over, and it just never seems to be over. So to truly know who's coming in or not into the draft, but we're always nimble as GMs in this league. You don't truly know who's declaring and coming into the draft until the very end. So you're always nimble. You're always preparing. You're always being very thorough. From all 13 of our franchises are going to be very thorough.
If I could just quickly follow up, I mean, it seems like part of it is the financial realities of, what you can make now in the college game and what you can make in the pros, whether that's salary or whatnot. Like, do you feel that from your chair, and do you expect that to change at all?
Just personally speaking, and I think that the narratives out there is sometimes false, that most of these, NIL deals or endorsements more than anything with these top players that are first round picks, their endorsements are going to travel with them. So the narrative that they're not is frankly false. That they're going to take those with them. So unsure, but I think at times there's too much made about salary and too much made about what's going on in college. But again, we don't live in the shoes of the collegiate athletes and everything that's going on. But the top players that we're talking to, their endorsements are going to travel with them.
Hi, Jamila. Howard Megdal at the Next. Nice to chat with you. Sorry for the delay. Just sort of a two-parter. Obviously, at 3-4-6 in this draft under the current CBA, it would seem that these are not just rookies, but rookies who will be at a lower salary structure than rookies are likely to be in subsequent years. I'm wondering whether that changes the way you think of the value of those picks, and just related to it, whether because those 3 are valuable, how much you've given thought to potentially using them to trade up.
Thanks, Howard. Yeah, I think to your first question, I think we look at the players who are available and essentially assess their value based on the talent that's coming in. I think we're all in a position of waiting to see how the CBA will land, and also how any changes may impact contracts that are actually signed this year. So I don't have a firm sense or answer in terms of what will be true for the rookies who come out this year from a contractual standpoint, but we're all sort of waiting to see what that will ultimately be. And I think, as I said, in this year's draft for us, having that collection of picks has always been about looking at the opportunity to onboard a lot of talent at once. And so right now, that's really what we see in the value of those picks.
Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by TurboTax. Taxes used to be waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back at all. And then you'd wait, you'd wonder, and you'd worry some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. And you better hurry, because it's April 10th. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, wondering, no worries. Now this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax live full service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Locked On Women's Basketball is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less than at least 2 players' projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. You can build your lineup. You can pick Aaron Judge. You can pick Shohei Ohtani, Judge for more than 1 home run, Shohei for more than 1 stolen base. Boom, you're done. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball. Back here, segment 2. And again, so interesting, right? How we are valuing players, picks. I've covered this league a long time. There's never had a moment like this. And one of the reasons we know is a great question that our own Alyssa Hirsch at the Next asked of Jeff Pagliocca, Chicago Sky general manager, basically saying, is the reason you felt comfortable dealing what is effectively the third pick, not what is the third pick, is because Ariel Atkins, yes, very valuable, but a whole bunch of players chose not to enter the draft. And Jeff was waiting for the question. A great answer to it. I want you to hear what he has to say. And then I also just want you to hear what Jamila Wideman has to say about the way in which she's hoping 3, 4, and 6 come together, and the way in which it helps build the roster, on a great question from Mike Vogel. So listen up, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
So there were a couple of prospects who were projected to go in the first round who only recently announced that they're going to return to college basketball. And I was curious whether the uncertainty around who was going to be available was a factor in your willingness to part ways with the number 3 pick.
Good question. Been waiting for this one. I think that the decision to try to go get Ariel Atkins was a Ariel Atkins decision, not, due to the strength of the draft. And if anything, it just shows how much we're dedicated and how much we believe in her to move such a strong pick. But no, I mean, we probably didn't know any more than anybody else. And obviously we made that deal, quite a bit ago, before some of these players made decisions. But again, when we have an opportunity to add somebody that checks the boxes that we're looking for to get us closer, to, not alone the playoffs, but to get closer to a championship again, that's why we did what we did with Ariel.
Yeah, thank you. This is also for Jamila Wideman. With the 3 of the top 6 picks, can you just give us a sense of what you guys feel like you're targeting position-wise, and if you feel like there's any international players possibly for you guys in those picks that you'll have in the top 6?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really excited to be at 3, 4, and 6. I think it actually creates an opportunity for us to build strength in a couple of different ways. Obviously, with just one pick, maybe you can do one thing at a time. But I think we have a chance to build depth. I think we have a chance to build on strength positionally at the same time. I think we're really excited about bringing in a group of young players into an environment that we think will essentially inspire growth and development. And I would say not only in those young players, but also more generally, just looking at our existing roster. I think we've got a great blend and some veterans who are also still looking to grow and improve their games. And so we look forward to welcoming that energy and that youth to be in that environment as well.
So truly, Ariel Atkins is an elite player, and we've had her on the show. We've talked about her, written about her dating back to her Texas days. But it's 1 year of Ariel Atkins. I think sometimes people think about a player, and it's either you have a player or you don't have a player. But of course, that's not true. You have a player has a certain amount of value. You're going to pay a player. You have the player under contract for a certain amount of time. 1 year of a player is worth a lot less than 3 years of a player. It's just reality. Same player, significant, right? 1 year of Ariel Atkins, 1 year of just about any player, because virtually everyone is a free agent following the 2025 season. Apologies to Kalani Brown. It's interesting to trade a lottery pick for 1 year. And so I really thought Jeff's answer was fascinating. And for Jamila, man, no matter what happens, whether the Mystics make those 3, 4, and 6 picks, or they are able to trade up, it's going to be a defining night for the Washington Mystics. So segment 3, we're going to talk about international players, and the great Annie Costabile asked a great question, Talisa Rhea of the Seattle Storm. So we'll be back with that in just a moment. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you, as so many of my dinners are, by DoorDash. Now, DoorDash has a deal thanks to Dash Pass. You swoosh, they swoosh, you save, is what they call it, right? There are some NBA players. NBA, just briefly, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. The National Basketball Association, it is a league where professional basketball players are men. And so occasionally, as I understand it, and good for them, sometimes NBA players score 50 or more in a game, Michaela Blake style, right? So when any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Again, DoorDash works for me. It works for my daughter when she's out at play rehearsal and needs something fast. It's reliable. You can track it. I absolutely love it. And you can too, and get that extra discount if an NBA player lives up to what Michaela Blake did. That's right, twice this season. Now, a couple of things you got to understand. You got to sign up for Dash Pass, which, by the way, I have, and you should. be ready to save, right? It's up to $10 off. Use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after the 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Now, you must have an active DashPass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Back here in segment 3, Howard Megdal, Locked On Women's Basketball. Now, I'm just going to put it this way. Dominique Malonga should be the number 2 pick in the draft, and we'll see. And clearly, Annie's got her suspicions based on the question she asked Talisa. Talisa is a keen judge of talent. It'll be really interesting to see what she does. If she doesn't take her, whoever's got that 3 pick is going to go ahead and sweep her up. Dominique Malonga, 6'6". The WNBA Draft folks, the Saturday show, had a great in-depth look at her. Make sure you go back, listen to that podcast because it was awesome. We were on set at Bracket Breakdown, and Lance Daw, who does great work here at Locked On, just became a Malonga stan, just like coming over to me, to Monique Billings, and be like, did you see her do this? Have you seen her do this? I mean, and he's right. She's crazy talented. So the bigger picture there is, you know how the game keeps getting better here? The game keeps getting better everywhere. And so what do? How do you make sure that international players come over, they stay, they're playing here, they're committed to those seasons? It's all a balance. It's a balance with your international teams and those obligations. It's complicated. So go ahead and listen. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
All right, thanks. We're going to go to Annie. Annie, you're going to be followed by Jack Maloney. Annie, go ahead.
Sorry to shock everybody, but this question is not for Jeff Pagliocca. I wanted to ask Talisa about international prospects. A lot of people have Dominique Malonga going 2nd overall. And I'm curious if you could just speak to the unique challenges that present themselves when drafting an international player. And also, how do you feel like the WNBA needs to do a better job of attracting international players, especially with expansion coming up?
Thanks, Annie. I think that there are quite a few really talented international players in this draft, Dom being one of them. And I think the W is doing a great job of bringing over talent and making them want to stay here and making the W a priority. I think we're also seeing these international players growing up now with the dream to come play in the WNBA. And it's not just to stay over in Europe and play, but the playing in the WNBA is a priority for them. I think there's always challenges and there's a lot of uncertainty and kind of just what's to come with our league over the next few years and with FIBA competitions. And we know, that some things are changing and our footprint's changing. We're expanding. There's a lot in motion right now. But I think what has been clear with a lot of these international players is they do want to play and they want to make the W a priority. And so we're excited for some of those changes. And I think it's an ongoing conversation with them and their, time and availability for the WNBA.
If I can just follow up really quickly, when a hypothetical, let's say you guys do take an international player at number 2, what are the conversations like leading up to it that what confirm whether or not they'll be here by the start of training camp, by the start of the season, et cetera?
Sure. Yeah, there's conversations with the player directly. There's conversations with the agency and their team, just trying to understand, what does their current situation look like? A lot of them are still playing overseas. What does that season look like and when could that potentially end? And then also what national team are they a part of and are there commitments, with the European Championships, with World Cup, with, Olympics down the road. So it's a case-by-case conversation, but a lot of ongoing conversations with their teams.
So yeah, Talisa made some excellent points. Oh, I can't wait to see how this draft night goes down. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. Much more to come on it. The great Jackie Powell will be joining you tomorrow in the host chair. So there's an upgrade for you. She will be joined by Kareem Copeland of the Washington Post, who's fantastic, talking and getting you ready for Monday. we'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating. Here's what I know for sure. And this is what makes the draft the very best thing. Every 5 minutes or so, somebody who has played her entire life for the chance to play professionally, her dreams come true. It's my favorite thing. My favorite thing to cover is drafts and seeing that happen. So a huge congratulations to everyone who gets their name called on Monday night. That's it for me. I'll be off next week. We will be back, but we will continue to be here, of course, 6 days a week, just the same. Wishing you all a wonderful, fascinating weekend. Enjoy Draft Monday. Until then, I'm Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful Thursday evening.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.